Welcome children. Today my topic is light, reflection and refraction. This is a very important chapter in class 10th CBSE physics. So all of us know what is light. Light is a form of energy which produces sensation of vision, and there is a separate branch in physics to study about light, and that branch is called optics. So optics is a branch of physics which deals with the study of light. And as optics we can classify again into three branches as ray optics, wave optics and quantum optics. So again optics can be classified as three, as ray optics, wave optics and quantum optics. In ray optics we consider light as particles, in wave optics we consider light as waves, and in quantum optics we consider light as packets of energy. In this chapter we are dealing only with mainly two phenomena, reflection and refraction, that can be explained based on ray optics. So in this chapter we are dealing only with ray optics. In ray optics we consider light as particles, and these light particles travel from one point to another point in a straight line path, and this straight line path of light is called a ray of light. So here in ray optics we consider light as particles, and these light particles travel from one point to another point in a straight line path, and this straight line path of light is called as ray of light, and this phenomenon of light is called as rectilinear propagation. Rectilinear propagation, that is, it is a phenomenon in which light travels in a straight line. And a group of rays can be considered as beam of light. So beam of light means it is the bundle of light rays. So many light rays constitute a beam of light. This is one ray. So like this, so many light rays constitute a beam of light. So I told you in this chapter we are studying about only two phenomena of light, reflection and refraction. So first of all we can study some of the properties of light. Light is considered as a non-mechanical form of energy. That means it does not require any medium to travel. So light is considered as a non-mechanical wave. Non-mechanical wave. So light is considered as a non-mechanical wave which does not require a medium to travel. So non-mechanical wave means the waves which does not require a medium to travel. Just opposite is mechanical wave. So mechanical waves actually require medium to travel. For example, sound. Sound is considered as mechanical wave because it requires a medium to travel. But this light can be considered as non-mechanical wave which does not require any medium to travel. And also a light can be considered as electromagnetic wave. So it is an electromagnetic wave. That means it travels perpendicular to both electric as well as magnetic field. So it is considered as electromagnetic wave. And all these electromagnetic waves are traveling with a constant speed of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. That is, in 1 second it travels a distance of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter. And also light is having a dual nature. Dual nature means it can act both as a particle and as a wave. So it is having, in ray optics we consider light as a particle. In wave optics we consider light as a wave. So it is having both the characters of particle and as a wave. So it is having a dual nature. So these are some of the properties of light. So for next we can go for reflection of light. Reflection of light. So in smaller classes already you studied what is reflection. The bouncing back of light from any surface can be called as reflection of light, and this reflection mainly we can classify into two, as regular reflection as well as irregular reflection. So reflection we can classify into two types, as regular reflection as well as irregular reflection. So regular reflection means reflection from a smooth polished surface. For example, from a mirror, reflection from a mirror, water can be considered as regular reflection. That means reflection from a smooth polished surface. Then irregular means reflection from rough surface. Reflection from any rough surface can be considered as which one? Irregular reflection. So irregular reflection means reflection from any rough surface. For example, reflection from a wall, reflection from ground, reflection from table. So this can be considered as irregular reflection. So consider one example for irregular reflection, that is reflection from a mirror. Reflection from a mirror, and consider a beam of light falling on this mirror. So this is a mirror and a beam of light. Beam means a combination, a collection of rays. So beam of light falling on this mirror. So what will happen normally? This light rays will be bouncing back or reflecting back. These light rays are bouncing back. So here we can see that all the reflected light rays are going parallel. So in the case of regular reflection, all the reflected light rays are passing parallel to each other. Suppose I am taking example for irregular reflection, that is reflection from a rough surface. A rough surface. So rough surface means so many ups and downs will be there. So I am taking a beam of light falling on this irregular surface. So here also what will happen? This light rays will be bouncing back. But when we are seeing the reflected light rays, they are not parallel to each other. They are scattered. Okay, so they are irregularly scattered everywhere. So that is called as irregular reflection. So in the case of irregular reflection, the reflected light rays are scattered and they are not going parallel. But in the case of regular reflection, all the reflected light rays are going parallel to each other. So this is the difference between regular as well as irregular reflection. So next is laws of reflection. So mainly there are two laws of reflection. Mainly there are two laws of reflection. First one is angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. So I equals R. I equals R. Suppose I am taking an example for a mirror. In the case of mirror, consider a ray of light falling on this mirror. And this light ray which is incidenting on a mirror, which is falling on a mirror, can be considered as incident ray. Incident ray. And when this light ray falls on the mirror, what will happen? It may reflect back or bounces back. And this light ray which is bouncing back can be called as a reflected ray. So this is the reflected ray. And this point is taken as point of incidence. That is, at this point only light ray is incidenting. This point O is the point of incidence. And now I am drawing a normal at this point O. Normal means that line will be making 90 degree with the surface. So I am drawing a normal here. So we will be getting two angles, angle I and angle R. And this angle I is called angle of incidence. That is angle between incident ray and normal. And this angle R is called as angle of reflection. That is angle between reflected ray and normal. And according to first law of reflection, this I is always equal to R. That is angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. So this is applicable for polished surface as well as for rough surface also. This is for polished surface. Suppose I am taking a rough surface and consider one light ray falling on the surface. A light ray is falling here, and this light ray is called as incident ray. Light ray which is falling on a surface can be called as incident ray. And what will happen to this light ray? This light ray may be reflecting back. So this light ray also will be reflecting back. Okay, and I am drawing a normal here. Normal, and we can see that this angle I is equal to angle R. So this is applicable for rough surface as well as for polished surface. This is the first law of reflection. Then second one, the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. The second law of reflection is the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Suppose this is taken as incident ray and this is taken as a reflected ray, and I am drawing a normal at this point. This is the point of incidence, so I am drawing a normal here, and all these things may be lying in a single plane. That is second law of reflection. So there are two laws of reflection. First one is angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. Then second one is the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Okay. Next is image of an object. So image is considered as the replica of an object. A replica of an object. That is, it is the point at which the light rays coming from the object actually meet or appear to meet after reflection or refraction. So anyway, after reflection or refraction, light rays may be meeting or they may be appearing to meet, and that point where the light rays actually meet or appear to meet can be called as image. And this image mainly we can classify into two, as real image and virtual image. Real image and virtual image. And real image means the image which can be obtained on a screen. Whatever image we are getting on a screen can be called as real image. Then virtual image cannot be obtained on a screen. So the real image can be produced on a screen, but this virtual image cannot be obtained on a screen. Then second point, real images are all inverted. So all the real images are inverted. Invert means upside down. Suppose this is the object, means its image will be like this, upside down. So all the real images may be inverted, but just opposite, all the virtual images are erect. Erect means straight image. So all the virtual images may be straight only, but all the real images are inverted. Then third one, I told you image is produced by the light rays, actual meeting of the light rays, or they will be appearing to meet at a point after reflection or refraction. So real image is produced by the actual meeting of light rays after reflection or refraction. So real image is produced by the actual meeting of light rays after reflection or refraction. So here light rays are actually meeting. Then here virtual image cannot be produced by actual meeting. So there light rays are appearing to meet. The light rays coming from the object appear to meet at a point after reflection or refraction, and that point is called as which one? Virtual image. So there the light rays are not actually meeting, they are appearing to meet. They are not, light rays are not actually meeting there. So here their light rays are not actually meeting, but they are appearing to meet. So when the light rays appear to meet, the virtual image will be formed, and when the light rays are actually meeting, you will be getting the real image. So this is the difference between real image and virtual image. And the real image, best example is cinema screen. It is an example for which one? Real image, because there the image is formed on the screen itself. So it is an example for real image. And virtual image, you can say plane mirror. So plane mirror image. Image obtained in a plane mirror can be considered as which one? Virtual image. The image is erect only, straight image. So it's a virtual image. All the virtual images are erect. Next we can study about plane mirror. Normally a mirror is having two surfaces. So one may be a reflecting surface and another one may be a non-reflecting surface. So all the mirrors will be having two surfaces, one reflecting, another one is a non-reflecting surface. So in the case of plane mirror, the reflecting surface may be plane. So if the reflecting surface of a mirror is plane, it can be called as a plane mirror. So next we have to study about some of the characteristics of image formed by this plane mirror. So first of all, the image formed in the plane mirror is of same size as that of the object. So whatever may be the size of the object, the same size only may be the image also. Okay, so size of object is same as that of the image. Size of object equals size of image. Second one, the image formed in the plane mirror is always erect, straight image only. And also this erect image means it may be virtual also. So all the virtual images are erect. That means this light rays, this image we cannot be obtained on a screen. So it is an erect as well as virtual image. The image formed on the plane mirror cannot be obtained on any other screen. It is formed only on the mirror. So it is a virtual image as well as it is an erect image. So all the virtual images may be erect also. Then third one, the image is laterally inverted. Lateral inversion means right of the object appears as left and left of the object appears as right. That's sideways inversion. So image formed in the plane mirror is always laterally inverted. That means sideways inversion. Then fourth one, the object distance is equal to image distance. That is, distance between the object and the mirror is same as the distance between the image and the mirror. Suppose I am moving towards the mirror, so what will happen? My image also will move towards the mirror. Similarly, suppose I am moving away from the mirror, my image also will move away from the mirror. That means the distance may be same. Always object distance is same as image distance. Then fifth one, where this image is formed, it is formed behind the mirror. The image is formed behind the mirror. So the position of the image is behind the mirror. The image is found behind the mirror. So these are the properties of image formed by a plane mirror. So first of all, size of object is same as size of image. Then image is erect as well as virtual, because all the virtual images are erect only. Then virtual means it cannot be obtained on a screen. Then the image is laterally inverted, sideways inversion. Then object distance is same as image distance. Then the image is from behind the mirror. Okay, so this much about plane mirror. Okay, next we have to study about spherical mirrors. Spherical mirrors. That is, if the reflecting surface of a mirror is curved or spherical, it can be called as which one? Spherical mirror. I told you in the case of plane mirror, the reflecting surface is plane. So if the reflecting surface of a mirror is spherical, or it may be curved inward or outward, it can be called as which one? Spherical mirror. And the spherical mirrors are mainly of two types. First one is concave and second one convex mirror. Concave and convex are the two types of spherical mirrors. So first of all, I am drawing a concave mirror here. So I told you the mirror is having two surfaces. One may be a reflecting surface, other one may be a non-reflecting surface. So here this inner part is the reflecting surface. and its outer part is the non-reflecting surface. And we can see that the inner part is the reflecting. That means it is curved inward. The reflecting part is curved inward. So it is called as which one? Concave. Concave means going into the cave. Okay, that means the inner part is reflecting. That is called as concave mirror. The next I am drawing a convex mirror. Here also this is the reflecting surface. This outer part is reflecting and this is the non-reflecting surface. So here the outer part is reflecting. That means the reflecting part is curved outward. Here the reflecting part is curved inward. This is the outer part is reflecting. That is called as convex mirror. So these are the two types of spherical mirrors. And just best example is spoon. In case of spoon, the inner part is acting as a concave. The inner part is reflecting. And this outer part will be acting as a convex. Outer part is reflecting. So anyway, two surfaces will be there. So here the inner part is reflecting. And this outer here convex means outer part is reflecting. So anyway, in the case of mirror, it may be having two surfaces. So in the case of concave mirror, the inner part may be reflecting. In the case of convex, the outer part may be reflecting. Okay. So next we can study about some of the terms relating to spherical mirrors. First one is pole of a mirror. So first is pole of a spherical mirror. So first of all I am drawing a concave mirror. In concave mirror, the inner part is the reflecting part. The geometrical center of the spherical mirror can be called as pole. So this is a mirror. So I am putting a point here P. And this P is the geometrical center. Okay, the geometrical center of a spherical mirror can be called as pole. So the symbol is P. Okay. Similarly, I am drawing for which one also? Convex. Here also the geometrical center of the spherical mirror can be called as pole of the mirror. The symbol is P. Then second one, center of curvature. Symbol is capital C. Capital C. So first of all I am drawing a concave mirror. And I am marking pole here. So this is the pole. And all these spherical mirrors are part of a whole sphere. Okay. Suppose I am completing this one. I will be getting a sphere here. And the center of the sphere can be called as which one? Center of curvature. So that is, the center of curvature is the center of the sphere of which this spherical mirror forms a part. So this spherical mirror is a part of this whole sphere. Okay, and the center of the sphere can be called as which one? Center of curvature. Similarly for convex also. This is pole. And when I am completing, I will be getting a sphere here. Sphere here. And the center of this sphere can be called as which one? Center of curvature. This C is the center of curvature of this convex mirror. And here, and one difference is here. In the case of concave mirror, the center of curvature comes on the left hand side. And in case of convex mirror, center of curvature comes on the right hand side. So the center of curvature is the center of the sphere of which the spherical mirror forms a part. Okay. So two terms we studied here. First of all, pole. Pole is the geometrical center of the spherical mirror. And center of curvature is the center of the sphere of which the spherical mirror forms a part. Symbol is capital C. Third one, principal axis. first of all I am drawing a concave mirror. This is the pole. Suppose somewhere here is the center of curvature, and the imaginary line passing through center of curvature and pole can be called as principal axis. So the principal axis is the imaginary line passing through center of curvature and pole. Okay, similarly for convex mirror. This is pole, center of curvature, and the imaginary line passing through center of curvature and pole can be called as principal axis. So it is the imaginary line passing through center of curvature and pole. Then fourth one, radius of curvature. Symbol is R. So radius of curvature is the distance between center of curvature and pole. Okay, I am drawing a concave mirror here. Pole. So suppose this is center of curvature. Then this much distance can be called as radius of curvature. Distance between center of curvature and pole. Similar is the case for convex mirror. This is pole and this is center of curvature, and this much distance can be called as which one? Radius of curvature. Okay, so radius of curvature is the distance between center of curvature and pole. Principal axis is the imaginary line passing through center of curvature and pole. Next is principal focus. Principal focus we have to separately study for concave and convex mirror. First of all, we can study about principal focus of concave mirror. Concave mirror. Suppose I am taking a concave mirror here. And I am marking the pole here. So this is the pole, and I am drawing a principal axis. And suppose I am taking one object somewhere here in front of the mirror. This is one object in front of the mirror, and I am considering two light rays coming from this object. Okay, so I am considering two light rays coming from the object towards the mirror. Okay, so this is one light ray. This is one light ray just coming parallel to the principal axis. Similarly, I am taking another one light ray coming from the object itself, passing parallel to the principal axis. So I have taken two light rays passing parallel to the principal axis. So what will happen when it touches the mirror? It may reflect back. So this light ray will be reflecting back now. So it is reflecting back. Similarly, what will happen to this light ray also? It also will be reflecting back. So we can see that both the reflected light rays passes through a common point on the principal axis, and that common point is called principal focus. Okay. So when parallel light rays falls on a concave mirror, after reflection passes through a particular point on the principal axis, and that point is called as principal focus. So when parallel light rays means light rays coming parallel to the principal axis. When light rays coming parallel to the principal axis, after reflection passes through a particular point on the principal axis, and that point is called as which one? Principal focus. Okay. Next we will study about which one? Principal focus of convex mirror. Convex mirror. So I am taking a convex mirror here. drawing the principal axis here. This is the principal axis, and consider one object somewhere here. And I am taking two light rays coming from the object. This is one light ray coming parallel to the principal axis, and I am taking another one light ray passing parallel to the principal axis. So here also, when light rays falls on the mirror, what will happen? It may reflect. But here the light rays are not meeting at a point, but both the light rays will be diverging. Okay, so this light ray may be diverging like this. It diverges. Similarly, this light ray also will be diverging. So these two light rays are not meeting anywhere. But suppose if I am extending these light rays to the next opposite side, both the light rays will be meeting at a point in the opposite side. And this point is called as which one? Principal focus. So here the light rays are not actually meeting, but they are appearing to meet at a point on the principal axis behind the mirror. And that point is called as which one? Principal focus. So when parallel light rays falls on a convex mirror, after reflection it appears to diverge from a point on the principal axis, and that point is called as principal focus. Clear? But here in the case of concave mirror, when parallel light rays falls on a concave mirror, after reflection passes through a particular point, common point on the mirror, that is on the principal axis, called as which one? Principal focus. But here when parallel light rays falls on a convex mirror, after reflection appears to diverge from a point on the principal axis. Okay, from a point on the principal axis, that point is called as which one? Principal focus. And here I told you the light rays are actually meeting or converging. Actually meeting means converging at a point, meeting or converging at a point. So the another name for concave mirror is converging mirror. Converging mirror. Similarly here, after reflection light rays are diverging, they are not converging. That is why the another name for convex mirror is diverging mirror. Diverging mirror. And always, normally, listen, this is a focus of concave mirror, and the center of curvature will come here. That means this focus will be at the center of C and P. Always we are marking focus at the center of which one? Pole and center of curvature. This will be coming at the midpoint. Okay. Similarly here also, this is a focus. So this is focus, and center of curvature will be twice the distance like this. And this focus will be coming at the center of curvature and pole. At the midpoint, the focus will come. Okay, so what is another name for concave mirror? Converging mirror. Other name for convex mirror is diverging mirror. Okay, sometimes they will be asking why this concave mirror is considered as converging mirror. The reason is after reflection, the light rays are converging at a point or meeting at a point. That is why it is called as converging mirror. Here in the case of convex mirror, after reflection, light rays are diverging from a point. That is why it is called as a diverging mirror. Next is focal length. Focal length of a spherical mirror. Symbol is small f. Capital F is for principal focus. Focal length symbol is small f. Okay. Suppose I am taking a concave mirror. So pole, principal axis, and somewhere here I am marking center of curvature, and focus I am marking at the center of C and P, and this distance, that is distance between focus and pole, is called as focal length f. The distance between focus and pole can be considered as a focal length. Similar is the case for which one also? Convex mirror. Here also this is pole, center of curvature, focus, then this distance between this P and F, that is called as which one? focal length small f. Focal length symbol is small f. Capital F is a symbol for principal focus. Then one more last term, aperture. Aperture. So first of all I am drawing a concave mirror. This one I am doing as Mn. That is, the diameter of the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror can be called as aperture. That means this much distance, Mn. Diameter. The diameter of the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror can be called as which one? Aperture. Similar is the case for which one also? Convex mirror also. Mn, that is the diameter. The diameter of the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror can be called as aperture. So these are the different terms relating to spherical mirrors. Next is, there is one relation connecting focal length and radius of curvature. Relation between focal length and radius of curvature. Relation between focal length F and radius of curvature R. The relation is like this: F equals R by 2, or we can say R equals 2F. The reason I told you before itself, when I have drawn this concave mirror, this is pole, principal axis. I am putting the center of curvature somewhere here. At the center only we are marking which one? Focus. And this distance can be called as focal length. And what about distance between C and P? That is radius of curvature, R. That means this R must be equivalent to 2F. Or F is equal to R by 2. So this is a relation connecting focal length and radius of curvature. So next we have to study about ray diagrams, how the image is formed in spherical mirrors. That we can see next video.